Okay, let's go ahead and get started there, everybody. Welcome back to another 1 p.m. PST YouTube stream. I'm your host, Strange Bro Jim, and today we're going to be getting back into some more Pega study. We got a couple more topics before we get into the very end content of um, the Pega certification. We have some um, Unreal Engine to study after that. We have um, um, we're going to be doing a little bit of video uploads, and then I'm going to see about trying to get back into the looking into the website, and then um, we have tutorial later on tonight with the single player and multiplayer options. So if any of that interests you, then feel free to stick around. If you're watching these videos later on YouTube, then um, um, then feel free to check out the rest of the playlist. I will have a link to the playlist down in the description. Um, so if you're coming into these videos kind of late, or you know, at this point, if this is your first video, you're pretty much coming in late to the series. So, um, but like I said, everything that I've covered so far are in a playlist for you to view. So, feel free to check that out if you'd like. Okay, it is in order, so don't stress too much about that. Okay. Now, who am I? What are these videos all about? What am I doing for it? So on and so forth. Let me get into that. So first things first, I'm currently an unemployed software developer whose last job was working with the Pega environment. Um, the company that I worked for, we were given, 20, 20 of us or so were given an authorized training partner um, that was in charge of trying to teach us the Pega environment. However, um, pretty much every single last one of us was not happy um, with the training sessions. Now, I'm sure that there might have been one or two that might have been okay with it, but good majority of us had gone pretty much self-study on it. We were not happy with what was going on, and even the guy's coworkers knew that he was messing up because he screwed up with them as well. So, but um, we tried to do what we could, given the circumstances. We asked to be put back into another training cycle with a different authorized training partner so that we could learn Pega properly, but that wasn't um, that wasn't given. We weren't allowed to do that, or our company said no. Um, we were basically forced into a contract. The one and only time that I did take the certification, because they said you either take it now or we're gonna let you go. I knew that I wasn't ready. I was already full, self-study at that point in time, and I had not covered all the material necessary to pass the certification, in my opinion. And probably to everybody else's opinion too. I had not covered all the topics. So there was going to be some questions on the exam that I would not know how to answer. So, um, so when they pushed me into it, I pretty much knew that I was going to fail, and fail I did. Um, I missed 6 more questions than the minimum. So, uh, which, let's face it, not exactly great to be kind of aiming for the minimum when it comes to an exam, okay? You want to be hitting that high marks, right? Um, the one thing that I did know about, or that I learned when taking this certification, was the fact that they had questions in there that were from Pega 7, and I was trying to take the Pega 8.6 certification exam. Um, so there's definitely questions in there that are referring to older content. So don't be afraid to review older content as well. Okay, believe me, that it will help you. Okay, not only will it help you on the exam, but it will help you when you go out into the real world and you are talking with, you know, other developers, other soft system architects, um, because they will be using keywords that you might not be aware of at your current, you know, iteration of the Pega environment. Okay, so so be aware that the keywords do change, and that you know it, you're gonna need to be prepared to um, to understand that it's not always consistent. So now, I'm not an authorized training partner. This is not meant for an instructor-led training. Okay, I'm trying to work on the certification much like anybody else. Okay, trying to work towards it. Okay, so if you're thinking that I'm one of these two, then well, you're gonna have to get rid of that thought line, immediately, because I don't mean to consider myself either one of the. I'm not one of those positions at all. So, you know, I don't know everything that there is to know about Pega. Okay, so um, if you want to take the instructor-led training, then feel free to do so, because um, one would hope that you're going to be given an instructor from Pega Academy that knows everything, the ins and outs of Pega, that will train you properly so that you will, um, complete it, get that certification easy. Okay. But the instructor-led training is like a 2-week course, and it's like $5,000. It is going to be jam-packed of information, and so it will not be an easy training session. So make sure that you take a lot of notes, a lot of video recordings, ask a lot of questions, because they're going to throw everything at you, including the kitchen sink. Um, so be prepared when if you do decide to go to an instructor-led training. Okay. But make sure that you get your money's worth out of it. I mean, $5,000 is not cheap. So so make sure that you prepare yourself for that. Okay. Now let's get into dashboard here, and I'll explain a little bit more. The business architect is done. Okay, if you're coming into these videos thinking, oh, I'll study business architect, we're done with that. You don't have to worry about the business architect. 2 missions, 2 modules. Those are those are clear. They're so done. You can go back through my playlist already for these 2 missions and 2 modules. And it's in order, so you can follow along pretty easily. So, but everything concerning business architect has been completed. Okay. Now I will recommend these 2 modules here. They barely touch upon the Pega Express delivery, in my opinion. Okay, I would recommend that you go through the Pega Express delivery mission here to learn more about what the business architect does. So that's my recommendation to you on it, because this covers 12% of your overall grade. So make sure that you are, prepared for it. You know, don't make 88% your highest score. Okay, so but we're going to continue on with the system architect mission here. We're getting pretty close to the end. Now, Just so you're aware, okay, I do the 8.7 because we have translations for that in other languages. And seeing that I post these videos online for pretty much anybody to watch, I'm doing it for, I'm doing 8.7 for others that can maybe follow along in their native tongue, okay? If you're, maybe you also want to learn English as well. So maybe speaking English to you and you can read, follow along with it, maybe that helps you. And additionally, great. If it does, let me know. I would be happy to learn that, someone is using it for multiple purposes. So, um, and keep up with the good work because, I mean, learning another language is not easy. Um, so hopefully, you can get both, you know, an understanding of the English language and the Pega certification. So, um, but I will not be going over the 8.8 or the 23. That's not my plan. Um, so, but yeah, let's go ahead and get into the rest of the modules and challenges. As you can see, we're finishing off the testing your application module here. We have the two remaining challenges and one remaining module after that, and then we'll be going into the mission exercise and mission test at the very end of that. I have not received any kind of email concerning the one challenge that was up above here, or was it again? Oh, I went too far. There was a challenge that I could not complete because it was not accepting my translation, the localizing UI form. So I sent them an email about it. They have not responded to that at all. Um, they have not given me anything more along those lines as to what I can do to try to fix this particular challenge. So hopefully they'll do that, within the next couple of days, so that so once I complete both the mission exercise and the system architect, then I will have the token for completing this particular mission. Not that it really matters all that much. It's not going to stop me from getting taking the certification exam or anything like that. You can take, if you wanted to, you could take the certification exam like right now, or well, not necessarily right now, but I mean, as soon as you could. You can sign up for it. You can take it. No worries. They don't they don't require you to have passed the Pega Academy in order to take the certification. They would recommend it, obviously, but you don't need to have it. So believe me, I know. Um, okay, so far we've covered the unit tests, unit testing individual rules, creating unit test cases for rules, and creating unit test cases for processes and case types. Our next topic that we're going to go over is the scenario testing. So Um, this is going to be a fairly long and lengthy topic here, so strap in. We'll see what we can do on this one. So, scenario testing. Use UI-based functional tests and end-to-end scenario tests to verify that end-to-end cases work as expected. With UI-based scenario testing tool, developers can create functional and useful tests for single-page applications, SPAs. Remember that. Well, I I really haven't seen SPA acronym all that often, but I mean, let's face it. Whenever you can do an acronym, people will always make it. So remember single page applications if you ever see the SPAs or SPAs. Um, rather than write complex code. Access to the scenario test feature is granted with the @base class PX scenario test automation privilege. This privilege is available with the out-of-the-box Pega rules sysadmin for role. Tests are saved to a dedicated test rule set that is defined in the application rule. For more details on test rule sets, see creating a test rule set to store test cases. Learn more about test suites by grouping scenario tests into suites. Maybe they should put these in actual topics. I don't know. That's just me speaking my mind, as always. But we'll move on. Scenario tests for features. With scenario testing, you can create UI-based end-to-end scenarios to test your application. The user who has access to the runtime toolbar captures scenario tests in the context of the application portal. In the Dev Studio application portal, use the Launch Portal menu to select and navigate to a specific portal, such as the user portal, to initiate test recording. Use the automation recorder in the runtime toolbar to create and modify a scenario test. Running scenario tests from Deployment Manager requires the use of Selenium Runner. For more information, see the Deployment Manager guidelines for running scenario tests. You can also run scenario tests from other pipeline tools by using the associated Pega API. For more information, see the Pega RESTful API for remote execution of scenario tests discussion post. In the following image, click the plus icons to learn more about the automation recorder capabilities. So yeah, basically, if you're wanting to have like a specific scenario where you're like, having to click on certain buttons, type in certain words, have interact with certain drop downs or something along those lines, then this automation recorder would help out in that regards. So, all right, let's click on these and see what it's all about. Support for all out-of-the-box UI controls. All the UI controls for Pega Platform are supported without any additional configuration. Okay. I'm not quite sure exactly what they mean by that. Oh well. Add validations. Use the add icon in the orange highlight box to add explicit validations. A dialog box with options for additional validations is displayed. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I guess that works. Let's see. Simple validations. Validations are direct comparators of actual values versus the expected values. Okay. Record tests at runtime. Create a test case by running the application. User input is recorded as the test data that is used for subsequent test runs. So, when you start the recording, it'll basically record down, where you go, what you select, what you type in, and so on and so forth, so that it can repeat. Stop and save test case. After completing the recording, you can stop the recording and create the test case by clicking the Stop and Save Test Case button. Easy to read steps. Test case steps are captured on every user interaction with an orange selector. The test case records information in clear, easy to read business scenario steps that all stakeholders understand. Let's see, case types and end user portals. In the end user portal, create test cases for a portal or case type. Case level tests captures user actions starting from the create view and the case type. All actions outside of the case are ignored. Portal level test includes everything that is captured by the case level test in addition to user actions from the header and footer, left side menu, and other navigation elements. Excuse me. Last but not least, support for dynamic test data. You can use dynamic data for the expected user input value or the expected output value. Specified dynamic data through the predefined PY scenario test data page. So, um, okay, so I guess they're basically saying, hey, any control that is available to you on screen, they'll have the ability for you to create the tests from it. It just seems very weird for you to, basically, potentially like press the plus button here when it should be like you're just clicking on the inside of the text box and just typing out what you need. But whatever. We'll kind of move on from that. Um, check your knowledge with the following interaction. Which of the two contexts can you record a scenario test case? Choose two. So, case type and user? No. Hmm. One would think that you should be able to use it for the user because, I mean, whenever you're, recording the scenario happening, that case type, that view is going to be specific to that said user. So this seems a little off there, but um, it's not assignment. At least I don't think it should be assignment. Yeah, okay. You record a scenario test case for a portal. Hmm. Okay. Right. But I mean, navigate to a specific portal, which is a user portal, aka user. Hmm. Okay, well, whatever. We'll just kind of move on. That seems a little odd that they are like, hey, you can use a portal, but it's not for the it's not for the user. It's like, but portals are meant for that specific user. But it's not meant for the user. Okay. You're basically saying the same thing, but yet not. Or, you're basically saying, like, you know, this doesn't work for that, but it still works for that. It's like, wait, what? Huh? Whatever. Um, explicit assertions and scenario tests. Interactions are recorded in a visual series of steps, and the completion of a test step might include a delay. When you use an automation recorder and hover over an element, the orange highlight box indicates a supported user interface element that you can test. The mark for assertion icon on the orange highlight box provides two features. One is the wait times that follow an action within the test scenario, and the ability to create validation steps in the test scenario. So use explicit assertions to define expected outcomes to validate business or test requirements for your application. For example, requirements state that if a customer type property is equal to gold, then a 10% discount is applied to the customer order. If the test does not pass, the results indicate where the 10% is not applied. Each validation is completed while running the test scenario. The addition of wait times features the application with extra processing time when steps are expected to have slow response times. The wait time feature is essential to ensure that all steps in the test script do not fail due to the slow response time of a single step. Pardon me, gonna get myself a little sun drink here. Excuse me. Alright. After saving, tests are available on application scenario test landing page. The landing page is accessible from the header of Dev Studio, configure application, quality, automated testing, scenario testing, test cases. That's quite a bit. The scenario testing landing page provides a graphical test creation tool that you can use to create test coverage without writing complex code. You can view and run scenario test cases. By viewing reports, you can also identify case types and portals that did not pass scenario testing. In the following image, click the plus icons to learn more about the various features of the landing page. Filters. You can filter your test cases based on the following criteria: test case name, test type, portal or case name, time of the last run or rerun. You can choose disabled as another filter criterion. Okay. Run history. You can click the view link to display the run history of the selected item. Okay. Almost missed those. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, the test cases tab stores and sorts all of your test cases. On this tab, you can run test cases and view the results, view the run history of each test case, group tests into test suites so that you can run multiple tests in a specified order, and export data to Microsoft Excel. Test suites. This test suites tab displays test suites for the selected application. On this tab, you can create and run test suites. Open a test case rule when you can add assertions to your test. And reports. The reports tab displays an overall summary of all the test runs and their status so you can quickly analyze the history of all your test runs. For ease of tracking, this tab also displays the number of case types and portals with or and without tests. You can also download a list test type, name of the tested portal or case, and the time and result of the last run, as well as view which tests were automatically rerun after a failure. So there's that. Best practices for scenario testing. Create scenario tests for a specific purpose, such as smoke testing and regression testing. Before running tests, log in and create case types manually to cache pages and render them faster. To improve the application quality, a project lead or lead system architect, LSA, periodically reviews the scenario testing results and performs the following actions. Reviews the failed test cases and take corrective actions. Adds more test cases for case type and portal rules to increase test coverage. Reviews and instructs team members to update any existing test cases because of the impact of newly introduced functional changes. Performing actions and tests. After starting the recording, perform actions slowly because scenario testing captures live input. Wait until the page or page element, such as dropdown or selection, refreshes completely before recording the next step. Similarly, wait for any activity that is associated with a click action to refresh before performing any subsequent click actions. You can see when a step is updated in the recording panel. If something goes wrong while recording a scenario test, cancel the test and restart the recording. If you need to record an element that is behind the recording panel, collapse the recording panel while recording. After recording, expand the recording panel again to view the recorded steps. Collapsing and expanding the recording panel is not recorded as a step. Do not use autofill to enter data in forms, as the selection may negatively affect the test. Additionally, updating data test IDs for any element in the existing section fails the scenario test. If you need to update the data test ID, create or update the test case. That's near the very end here. Limitations of scenario testing. Scenario tests must run the same portal in which you record them. For example, after you start the scenario test in the manager portal, you cannot run the test from the user mobile portal. Run separate scenario tests for each portal that you need to test. You cannot run scenario tests by using different personas or logins because testing ends when you log out, and you cannot run the same test with a different user. Other limitations include file uploads or downloads are not supported because this requires interaction with the operating system. CSS styles that are related to hover are not available during scenario testing, such as on hover actions. A scenario test cannot include another scenario test. Scenario tests do not have the support for the setup or cleanup of test data. Check your knowledge with the following interaction. Which two testing situations are addressed by scenario testing? Your team adds a new manager portal to the application. Team lead wants to test the end-to-end functionality of the new portal. Okay, I mean that sounds like a reasonable way of reasonable mean of checking something out. Sounds good to me. Another team adds new functionality to a case type. The team lead wants to test that the functionality does not impact the ability of users to fully complete a case. Okay. Your team adds a new web service integration. The team lead wants to fully test its functionality. I don't think you really need to do. I mean, now, okay. That still sounds like something that you should still test out. Just saying, you know, because you want to make sure that everything is working perfectly fine. But you know, aligned with this, where it's only case type or portal, it doesn't necessarily fit now, does it? Another team adds a new form to collect information from users. The team lead wants to test if a data transform correctly populates values in the form. Again, well, I would say that is again something that you'd probably want to check and confirm, I don't think it falls within the scenario testing. Um, but again, I'm not 100% sure. Let's check the answer and see if what I selected is correct. Yeah. Let me select the other two and see why they say that, it's wrong here before we move on. So, um, it's this one and this one. Okay, so scenario testing does not address integrations. Test an integration through a unit test or perform a functional test when initially configuring it. So bear that in mind. You can preview the application or click Save to run a test, uh, or click Save and Run to test a new form. Scenario tests are unnecessary in this use case. Yeah, but still, you'd still want to, I would figure that you'd still want to run an automated version of this anyway to make sure that, it did indeed get the information that you need, you know, there. So, I don't know. You know, I guess, scenario testing is meant for a specific purpose, but at the same time, it's like, why not create one for these two as well? I don't know. You should always double check your work, no matter what, right? Um, not quite sure exactly why, they basically say no to these. Um, you know, um, like, hey, you need to perform functional testing and unit tests on it. It's like, well, why isn't this part of the same kind of overall system? I don't know. Maybe I'm just not really grasping it very well as to why there's a need to be, so different in, what you need to test. Maybe it's just like, hey, this is, um, you know, hmm, yeah, I'm not sure. Um, what is it about scenario test that basically says, oh, we don't need to worry about other test forms? It's like, um, you know, UI-based functional test and end-to-end scenario test to verify that end-to-end cases work as expected. But um, wouldn't a new form also kind of fit in that kind of scenario? Because I mean, you're working end to end, so wouldn't you want to make sure that the values are being populated properly? You know, I don't know. It just feels like there's um like a slight disconnect there. But oh well. Alright, so that's going to be it for today's Pega study session there, folks. We're going to be moving on to the next topic tomorrow, which is the test coverage. Not too much in terms of like, um, side information there. I'm also not really seeing a lot in terms of like, hey, you have to go to this website to learn more, so that's good. Um, in that, they're providing all their information all on one particular topic instead of trying to spread it out into all the other different topics. So, but that's going to be it for our Pega study session. So, I want to thank you all for joining me on this recording, on this study session. Hopefully, you got a lot of information and good, helpful information out of it. Feel free to give a like and subscribe. Help me out on that. Help me out with the YouTube algorithm. Check out the description for other links such as social media, um, links that help me out directly, such as Throne and Patreon. And check out my stream team, Team Mobile. The application page is down below in the description. Um, come join us on the team, and where everybody's basically meant to help each other out. So, if that's something that interests you, then check out the application page. Go ahead and submit your application. I'll review it, and if everything looks good, then we'll be seeing you all soon. But that's going to be it for tonight concerning the Pega certification. So I want to thank you all for joining me on this. Hopefully I'll catch you next time. But until then, take care, have a good night, stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll catch you strangers next time.